are looking solid. How's that view? Are you excited as I am about this? Okay. Let me go up here. Alright, I think we're good to start. Move this out the way. Whew. I had some audio issues just yesterday. It's funny. I was in the middle of editing my video here on YouTube, and then I ended up tripping on the wire, and I was hoping that the audio would still be okay. Ended up doing like an emergency order of trying to get another 20-foot wire from the PC up here. But luckily, we have other resources that we could use. Possibly you're going to end up needing a new case because I don't know if I messed up that audio jack pretty good. It seems like the stereo isn't working 100% on it. So it's unfortunately on mono, or whatever you would like to call it. But today, we are doing a unboxing of a Z890 AORUS Master. And we, of course, got the RTX 5090. As anybody went online to Newegg or went to Micro Center or any online retailers and took a look to see how much graphics cards are currently, because it's quite insane. I don't know if anybody has checked. Just if you are on your computer right now or on your PC or on your phone, take a look at their website. Just look up a GPU. Look up a RTX 5070, look up a RTX 5080, look up a RX 9070 XT. In fact, look up the RX, the Sapphire Nitro Plus, the one we just got just last month, and take a look at the pricing because it's quite insane. Especially because with everything that is going on, there is a large fluctuation. So if you haven't got a GPU just yet, it's going to be quite tough because, for example, the Sapphire Nitro Plus RX 9070 XT, it was as high as $990, which is pretty crazy. I don't know how anyone's ever going to be able to, especially for a RX 9070 XT when it's supposed to be a lot more budget friendly and budget conscious, it's about $950. So it's quite insane. Let me just bring this up real quick, because I just realized something. There we go. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Okay, perfect. Okay. So luckily this week we did end up just getting this AORUS GeForce AORUS Master, the 5090, and we ended up getting this AORUS Z890 AORUS Master. If you're not familiar with this channel, I talk about PC and tech. My name's Chris Mizo. You can feel free to ask any questions that you would like, especially if you're thinking of building a PC, because that's what we do here. And especially if you want to get the best end-game hardware. Hey, what's up, Sanchez? Wait, what? You're giving away your 5090? No, not. Unfortunately, no, not right now. That's a whole nother story. But again, let me go back to the giveaways real quick, because just a few weeks ago, if you haven't joined before, I was doing a giveaway, and it was on the Samsung 990 Pro. So I sent out a bunch of emails. It was also on some merch as well, and we had 4 winners total. One of the winners responded, the 3 are unresponsive. So I'm going to email them again one more time. And when I do, hopefully they do respond. If they do not, I'll be running another, practically another free giveaway type of deal, but with the Samsung 990 Pro. Now, TuneNut1 says, why would you buy the Z890 when the Z790 is far better for gaming? I agree with you. I do agree with you. I feel that the Z790 is better because have you known anybody that has a Intel build, like the newest gen, the Z890? Because I haven't found anybody quite yet. But I do agree with you. This is more of a experimental build, really, because I want to see. Well, first off, I gotta say, I did not have a choice but to get this one. They did not swap out with me for another type, so we will use a Z890 for the upcoming build, and more than likely, maybe we go 265, the or i7 265, maybe the i9 285, but I don't think a lot of people are really interested in that type of build. But if you want to see any specific Intel processor for the 15th gen, just feel free, let me know, and just put it in the chat so that way we can go towards that direction. But I do agree with you. I agree that the Z790, I can say for sure, is better. It's kind of odd because originally I was really excited for this upcoming generation for the AORUS Z890 because it's supposed to step into a whole different generation than Alder Lake and a whole different generation than Raptor Lake and the refreshes. But instead, they completely kind of derailed on this one, and it seems like it wasn't as great in performance. And we should have known a little bit better, especially how we saw the Meteor Lake performance. And there was some leaks also, if you haven't seen it, about Meteor Lake having a desktop version. But again, it's more of a mobile processor instead of actually using it for something more like gaming. But I can say for sure, it is certainly going to be an interesting build. Because typically on this channel, we've done a ton of AMD builds. I haven't done any Intel builds in a while. The last Intel build that we've done was probably the 12600K. And then from there on, we kind of went AMD because it just seemed like there was a lot of issues going on with Intel. Well, speaking of the 13th and 14th gen, there's also issues too with them with the overheating issue, which almost slipped my mind right there too. So hopefully with this one, you haven't really heard any issues with it. But again, hopefully that there isn't any issues with it. And I really would like to compare the performance to a AM5 motherboard such as the 9800 X3D, which we could pair it up against. So we can certainly do that for sure. But if you guys are in the market for a GPU, just make sure to try to keep alert and try to get one. We're actually, honestly, right now is probably not the greatest time to get a GPU because they just recently marked them up about, I think it was about yesterday, maybe a couple days ago, but I just checked yesterday and those prices are quite insane. If you take a look at any of those prices, like the RTX 5070, it's on sale for $950, which is insane. So imagine the RTX 5090, that's getting closer to the 4,000 range. So it's practically really unaffordable unless you just got money to throw out there. It's more than likely better to wait for these prices to go down anyway. Luckily, the availability is kind of odd right now. At first, they were getting a lot of RTX 50 series cards coming in. AMD is supposed to have like this big type of delivery that's coming in, and that should happen within a couple weeks. And if they do make this delivery, hopefully the prices will drop because the prices are quite a bit insane if you take a look at it. And I could definitely share with you guys a little bit later. So how is everybody's morning so far? Let me know. Hopefully your morning has been good. Hopefully the audio is acting well too, because I think it's pretty funny that my audio jack, it ended up getting bent up and everything, and I had to kind of like piece it together to work. And on my PC case, the one that I stream off of, the little metal plate that's on there, it kind of came off. So I had to kind of fit it back on there, and hopefully it ends up working. But instead, I'm just streaming off of the, right now I'm streaming the mic right through the stream mixer that I do have. So that kind of saved me right there. If I didn't have the stream mixer, it would be a little bit tough. Instead, I'd probably be sharing another wireless mic into the stream build. So has anyone had any questions about the RTX 5090? I'm more or so curious if this actually has all its ROPs. And I believe this is the model. This RTX 5090 is the model where you can actually add a fan on it if you would like another 120 millimeter fan, I think on top of the card. But once we open it up, we'll find out exactly if this is the card that you can do that on. But that is some big news, I gotta say. And it's a shame. You know what that's going to tell us? That's telling us that more than likely we can expect an uptick in pricing for a lot of components. Unfortunately, for motherboards, or even for even just for like components such as cooling or RAM, it's so more than likely we're going to see some pricing go up, unfortunately. But just give it time. I bet maybe in a week or so, hopefully that it will kind of bring the pricing back down. So I gotta say, let me see. Nvidia and Intel has been disappearing. So Two Nut says Nvidia and Intel have been disappointing this gen. I agree. As someone has stated on the other day on Wednesday, they asked if I was Team Red or if I was Team Green or Team Blue. And I gotta say, especially for this year, I'm definitely Team Red. Now, I'm not always going to be Team Red. Usually what I do is I usually compare the most fair pricing and what you can get most out of your components. Because Nvidia was really disappointing, especially they had this large presentation saying that the RTX 5070 was going to outperform the 4070. I mean, outperform the 4090, which is insane. And after, hopefully you guys caught that video. I do have a video up of a PC with a RTX 5070 in there, and we kind of tested between a RTX 3080, which was what he had prior, and then a RTX 5070 he upgraded to. It's certainly an upgrade. You can see the different benchmarks. If you want to hurry, like just quickly go to the end of the benchmarks. Yeah, exactly. Unreal Champion's right. Unless you're Batman or Bruce Wayne, there's no way that anyone could really afford any of these cards, because it's $4,000 alone could really build you a PC, like a really nice one, even without the RTX 5090. But to get back on topic about it, when you compared the RTX 5070 and the RTX 3080, you could see that the frame generation that certainly did help it, and even in raw performance, it's a little bit better. But it's probably about maybe about 10 or 15% in raw performance. When you go frame generation, that's when you see the larger gaps. It definitely runs a lot smoother for sure, but it's just funny that you can see the difference in the scores. So yes, Sanchez is he's right. Jensen says 5070 equals 4090. That's forever going to be remembered. I don't know if you guys saw that meme or not yet. You know how they were making all these Ghibli characters, and they actually made one with Jensen with the 5090 and the 4070 the 5070 and the 4090 on the presentation as a Ghibli character, which is pretty funny. It's something I definitely got to share. Or you can just put it in ChatGPT and do it yourself. But the thing is, the funny thing about ChatGPT, when you do that, it seems to be pretty selective when you select people, and it makes them look completely different if you ever did the image generation for it. But it's a shame because they said originally during the presentation that it was going to be $2,000. Now it's nearly double that price. So if you go to any of these other AIBs, like ASUS, even Gigabyte, MSI, all these other AIBs, you're going to see these high-priced cards. In fact, I saw PNY, not a large manufacturer, not as big as they used to be, and now they are selling their card for $3,500, which is insane. And that's US dollars. So I don't know how much of the market it's going to affect the other countries, such as in Europe and everything. That's just terrible. I tried so Unreal Champion says, I tried Batman for shits and gigs with my 5090. It was not. Oh, wow. You know, there's a game I really got to try that I want to do is, yeah, I agree. The PMY for 3500 is not good. It's funny. There's something that I really wanted to try too. is the Batman Arkham VR game. I'm not sure what was it. Batman Arkham's was it Arkham something, but I did want to play that. I haven't tried the VR headsets yet, but I've heard great things about it. Like it's very immersive, and you could definitely get like motion sickness out of it, which is pretty crazy. But I definitely want to try that and how you could hook it up to a PC, which is nice. Because back when VR first came out, like when they had the Oculus Rift, you had to use up like 4 USB A cables to plug into like either your monitor or to your cable, I mean into your PC in order for you to enjoy VR. But now I heard great things about MetaQuest 3 and how you can just do everything wirelessly and you don't necessarily need a MetaQuest account. Something I definitely have to look into and highly interested in for sure. Especially because I've always wanted to play Half-Life Alyx. That's something that I heard was actually a really good game, and that's the only Half-Life game I haven't played. How is the lag with the DLSS and the frame gen on the 5070? Is it like native? Think that Jensen was referring to that, but similar to 4090 performance. Yes, that's a great question, Sanchez. If it's similar, like if it's native, like a native feeling, I gotta say with frame generation. Now this is off of testing off of I tested the 5070, I tested it on the 4090. Now any other models under the 40 series and the 50 series, or under the 4080 specifically, you cannot have frame generation. But I can say when you do look at those models, it seems like it does perform pretty well. It can perform pretty good, but it does have its limitations. Sometimes it gets to a point where you get into like a really intense scene, and then you'll end up seeing some ghosting. Now, anybody who's experienced frame generation before probably has experienced that before. It's not the monitor, it's just how it tries to render and make up for those extra frames. You'll see some ghosting. So you can expect that if you do get some frame generation. I've seen it in Ninja Gaiden, I've seen it in Monster Hunter's Wilds, but I typically personally like to turn off frame generation and just go in it that way. I'll just leave DLSS on, but I wouldn't turn on the frame generation, as that's a different option. In most places or most games, you're going to see the option whether to use it as a transformer, or there's also another option there, like if you prefer it practically for performance, or do you prefer it more for quality. So there is a choice of that, but it can look pretty good. But then again, you will experience some weird ghosting, like if you're in the middle of an intense fight. Like when I was playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, that's just how it was. Like I was just like constantly slashing, and then that's where I saw the weird ghosting, and sometimes you'll see the weird glitching too. But I'll certainly stream it on one of these, maybe later tonight or something. I can definitely do something like that. I'll go on Ninja Gaiden 2, I could go on Monster Hunter's Wilds, and show you how the frame generation works on it. Because again, you'll see it perform pretty good, and then at times you'll see it perform where it kind of acts weird. Like you'll see a lot of glitching in certain areas, I can say for sure. But again, so the biggest news again this morning for everyone that's just tuning in is the fact that the graphic card pricing has certainly went up. It is insane how much it went up. So the lower end cards like the 5070s and the RX 9070s, they all went up like a little bit over $100. And then you look at these other cards, like the mid-tier cards, they went up to about 200. And now you can imagine the 5090s, I didn't even want to look at them, but I believe they're going to be a lot closer to the 4,000 range, as they were hitting about 3,500 at the highest. But I do agree with Unreal Champion. What he says that the PMY is really not a great card for that. And oh, okay, that's funny. But yeah, it's really not a great card for that at all. Hang on, guys, I noticed something. Oh, that's why. There we go. That was my mistake. Apologize for that. Yeah, so Now, hopefully you guys have your waters and your coffees ready this morning. I still haven't made my coffee. I did manage to go out and do my run this morning and try to get everything all together, but this time I was able to get the stream up a lot earlier, which I was happy about. And if that audio issue didn't happen, it would definitely be up a lot quicker for sure. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream. So far, if you are, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you love PC and tech stuff, make sure to also give it a heart or some love. Or you can also follow and subscribe. Hopefully the contestant winners who won the Samsung 990 Pro will claim it. And the one person claimed the merch, and two other people right now, they have not said anything yet. But unfortunately, I can't do like a random redraw. For some reason, Gleam doesn't let me do it. I'll try to do it. If it doesn't work, I'll just do another contest giveaway. This time I'll put it out probably for just a couple weeks instead. So that way everybody out there can have a chance to rejoin if you missed out on it, which was this wonderful Samsung 990 Pro, which I have right here. Yep, right here. Looks just like this. And hopefully the winner is watching. If the winner is, you did check your emails, please. If yes, they haven't responded yet. Shadow is the 3060 12 gigabyte a good for the latest games? I mean, it's decent. It'll get you through. Don't expect to run everything on the highest settings. Expect more to you can say like maybe mid settings, if anything. If you can certainly play a lot of games, and I can say that the VRAM is definitely certainly enough for now. But I would highly suggest going up just a little bit more. Maybe the 4060 would be a little bit better. But honestly, 3060 it might be good for like a few years with it, I can say. And you know what the problem is? Like on 1440p and 60 frames, yeah, you could get that. You could get that out of a 3060. You certainly can. As long as if you're not trying to push like 4K or anything, 4K is definitely better to go up like another generation for. For the 30 series, you could get away for 1440p at 60 frames. Probably about like medium settings or mid settings you could set it to, and more than likely you'll be good to go. What type of games do you play, Shadow? Just to get an idea. Because it also depends on a lot of these other optimizers. I don't know what they're doing when it comes to gaming, because you know, these game studios certainly don't seem like they like to optimize games. They like to they might as well put out the game raw at that point, where you can just do everything yourself. Because now, you know what's funny? You know Nintendo, how they did this survey? They sent out a survey asking, not Nintendo, actually Sony. Sony sent out a survey asking everybody what their thoughts of Nintendo's presentation about the Switch 2. How do you think, and what I really think they wanted to do was get a consensus of how did everyone react of not only the console pricing, but the pricing of $80 games. So if that is true, if that does happen, and I don't know how well the consensus went when it came with the whole Sony survey. Now, if it does happen and Nintendo does sell very well, and more than likely, unfortunately, it probably will, just because of it's just a popular console, and especially with its exclusives, I could see it selling, and then it's going to go up to $80 gaming. And I wouldn't be surprised where Grand Theft Auto 6 was rumored to be $100. But it just seems like they're trying to push further and further. So Shadow says, also, is the temps like 70 to 80 degrees normal for a GPU? Yeah, 70 to 80 is perfectly normal. That's if it's on load now. Now, if it's not on load, if you're not using your GPU, I would suggest that there is some issue with the cooling side. There's probably not enough airflow going through your PC if it is on idle. But if you're playing games such as Shadow of Tomb Raider, F1, and Uncharted, do you have a RTX 3060, is it, Shadow? If you do, then let me know. But games like Tomb Raider, it should run pretty smooth. You're probably you have to definitely be getting at least 60 frames on Tomb Raider. F1, yeah, for sure. Uncharted, yes, I could see that. Now, if it comes to other games, like for example, Last of Us 2, like where they did the whole remaster, it might not be as optimized as well. So for games like that, you just have to really watch your settings. But again, you still can play a lot of your games on a 3060. It's just, you just have to really configure your settings, and you can certainly pull it. You can definitely pull about 60. Now, these devs just got to do a lot better when it comes to optimizing, to be honest, because they're not really great at doing that. And now it seems like they're relying on hardware, or the newest hardware. And again, it's probably like the shake of the hand of Jensen, where they both agreed that they said, as long as if you sell hardware, I can definitely get you to sell newer games, such as shutting off PhysX and DirectX 9. But that's something I haven't got to try yet, and I'm curious about. I want to put on like New Vegas or Mirror's Edge just to see what comes up. But I can say that NVIDIA did come out with they came out with a advanced PhysX, like an open source, where you can actually do everything yourself. 3060 is becoming a 1080p GPU for modern games, practically. Yeah, 3060 is like the most, I believe it's one of the most popular GPUs that's out there right now on Steam. I think that was the top GPU next to it was 3060s and 4060s are really popular currently. Yeah, that's the funny thing. Now, you're not going to see a lot of gamers who's going to be willing to spend the money for something like this. But again, it's a shame. Hopefully this winner does claim this SSD. I really want to give this to somebody too. It is a it is a 990 Pro with the heatsink, so you can put it inside of a PS5 if you'd like, or you can put it in your PC. Just don't install it with the heatsink because it's not necessary. You do not need to install a heatsink if you are putting it inside of your PC. I've tested it to see, just to get an idea. It wasn't this heatsink, but I tested it with Gigabyte heatsink versus ASUS. You will not see that much of a difference. You might see a degree or two. That's it. So I highly just recommend just using the the motherboard's heatsink, because usually they're better than the ones that they come with. And again, if you're using the heatsink, only use it for the PS5, then it would be better. And winners, if you are watching, check your emails. If you did go into the contest, check your emails. Kai was the winner of the 990 Pro. And if they don't respond by, I'm going to give them till probably like Tuesday. Because then if that's the case, then I have to set up a new giveaway. And this time it would be for the 990 Pro, and it would be for 2 pieces of merch that I will be giving away if these emails are unresponded to. So again, watch out Tuesday. Make sure to check in the channel on YouTube, or check on my X account, or check on any of my platforms here. I will also mention it live next week. When I go live on Wednesdays, I typically go between 7 to 9 p.m. Now, I know everybody's more than excited to see the GeForce RTX 5090 unboxing. I don't know how excited people are for the Z890 AORUS Master unboxing, because again, there's more than likely not a lot of people that are fans of the newest Intel series. Again, I don't blame them. If I'm wrong, if there's any Intel watchers and they see this, I apologize, but this is the truth. Unfortunately, nobody likes Intel right now, it seems. More of the tide is going towards AMD, and you could understand perfectly why. And it's funny, even when you compare the 2 different builds, it is a lot cheaper to go with AMD build compared to Intel, and it performs just as well. And the funny thing is, remember how back then Intel used to be the top one to go to? Intel would be the most expensive CPU to get. It would be like almost like a little bit over 25% more of what AMD was. And then AMD was more of the budget CPU, but they performed really well. And now it seems like the tides have certainly turned, and that AMD has certainly taken the lead, where Intel has fell way behind, and they got some work ahead of them. But we'll see with this whole 18A. It's supposed to be really competitive against the 2nm chipset, but that's also hard to believe as well, as the specifications match a lot closer to 5nm, which is, again, Intel just being Intel, and hopefully one day they learn to tell the truth, I have to say, because then they could gain a lot more traction this way. So, now, we're going to pull this motherboard out, and I apologize for everyone who is watching out there and doesn't like Intel, but you can certainly admire motherboards at least, right? Only if we could swap out the socket. That would be fun to do. But again, it's a whole different architecture too. So we could go ahead and start opening this up, take a look at the Z890 AORUS Master. Now I'm sure it's really impressive. A lot of these newer motherboards, they feature a handful, just quite a handful of different phases when it comes to digital VRMs. Mustache Dad says, my guy sold his soul for a GPU. At this point, you might as well. You certainly could sell a car for a GPU at this point. It's quite insane. And Sanchez says, buy Intel CPUs and GPUs to bring factory jobs back to America. Yeah, I mean, you do have Intel, but TSMC is also here as well. So TSMC is also has built up their factory too in Arizona. So that's also a good thing. And they're also going to produce their 2nm nodes there. So that'll certainly be the way. So why give to Nvidia like that, bro? Well, I don't want to give to Nvidia. And I certainly am not impressed with Nvidia, I can say, right off the bat. Especially for the pricing. The pricing definitely I definitely want to throw up from it. Now, I definitely prefer Team Red when it comes to this generation, as I mentioned earlier, because again, the RX 9070 XT is quite impressive. But if for those who were lucky enough to get the Founders Edition, my hat's off to you, I gotta say. Definitely for getting it, the Founders Edition for that. But this is just something everybody certainly wants to see, especially performance-wise. And we're going to compare this RTX 5090, especially because the funny thing is my RTX 4090 is also a GeForce, it's also a Gigabyte WindForce, which matches this AORUS WindForce as well, which is the AORUS Master. So just to get an idea of where these two are compared to each other, because it's insane. You could literally buy a RTX 4090 for way cheaper than a RTX 5090. But again, RTX 4090 should not be costing $1,600 used, just to put that out there. It should 100% not be $1,600 used. It should be way more lower, should be closer to at least like maybe to the 1,200 range, maybe 1,000 even. But it's pretty crazy for the fact that Nvidia has certainly changed the tide when it comes to pricing. So let's open this up, get this Z890 AORUS Master opened up and take a look and see what they feature, because I'm pretty curious. I'm curious about how they split the power on this board and everything. So we're going to see exactly what they have. Luckily right now, I managed to get a zoom onto the camera here, so that way we can take a closer look if we have to. I can move the camera a little bit up and everything too. And that way we can take a look at this masterpiece. So let's, excuse that boom. That's just the mic. I don't want to break it any more than what it is. It's probably already crippled. So we open this. And what do they have? So immediately, just like every other Gigabyte product, they just get you straight to the point by just showing you the motherboard itself. Right there. Let's see what type of goodies, if they give you any. Gigabyte's kind of like just a straightforward company. They'll give you, if you buy a motherboard from from Gigabyte, they're like, okay, we'll just give you the motherboard, but you don't really get a ton of extra features on there for sure. Sanchez says, does NVIDIA have factories in America? Well, the funny thing is NVIDIA does originate from California here. And I believe that NVIDIA, they send out a lot of their work outside, I can say. And a lot of it gets assembled outside from what I know. And from there, then it gets brought back here. That's why, again, they need to bring back a lot more of that back here, NVIDIA. If they do, then it could certainly drop down the pricing. But again, it all depends on how this whole issue with the tariffs happen and how they go, and see if NVIDIA changes their mind, because they've been fighting a lot with the US on it when it comes to the deal with China, I had to say. Because NVIDIA, again, they have a lot of assembly out there. And a lot of the AIBs, they just receive the boards, such as Gigabyte. They receive the boards like in places like in like Taiwan, where they put it together as well, and they bring it back here to the US. So that's what I can tell you from NVIDIA, but it's certainly a company from here, from the US. It just happened to outsource, that's all. Mostly outsourcing, which is, I know, a word that nobody really likes to hear as well. But anyway, let's go here and see what this motherboard does feature. And it does have its ESD bag, at least they give you that. There's nothing in this box, so nothing special. That's completely empty. And just as predicted, just a motherboard. I don't really see anything too extra in here. There might be a manual inside, but we'll find out shortly. Let's open that up here. And okay, so the extras that they give you, extra wires or anything like that, it looks like this is an extension for the thermal sensing. So anytime you see these 2-pin wires, they're more for the thermal sensing. They also give you, oh, it looks like a little fan. That's interesting, like a VRAM fan. So they do give you something like this inside the AORUS Master. Hopefully you guys can see that clearly. If you can't, just let me know. We'll get a lot closer when we take a look at it, because I'll take the camera off the tripod and everything, so that way you guys can take a better look at these parts as well. Now, this is the antenna for Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, and it's just a standard quick, not really like a quick connect, but it just kind of just plugs in, so no more manual screwing. They got rid of that. Thank God. That was always a pain, because then the wires would end up getting twisted up and everything. They give you at least, it looks like 2 SATA wires. How generous of Gigabyte. 2 SATA wires. And they give you a 6 connector, which is nice. Gigabyte's finally given these out too as well, which are for, I'll bring it up a lot closer so you guys can see it. This is for the front panel, like if you're installing it on your motherboard for the case, that's what this is for. So you just plug this in, so that way it makes it a lot easier instead of plugging everything one by one. So it looks just like this. Yeah, take it out, this plastic bag, so you guys can see it better. Probably too, nah, that's pretty dark to see, right? We'll definitely get a lot closer. I'll move the camera a lot closer for that. Now, it also has another thermal sensor here. So I guess they got 2 thermal sensors. Yeah, there's 2 different thermal sensors on here. So you could put those onto the board if you would like. They give you the installation manual. And let's see. And just kind of like a generic manual, just to say what they have. So a lot of these guides, they'll pertain some useful information. Just for example, like the PCI bus. What my favorite game is? I gotta say, my favorite game is so far. You know, it's funny. I've actually been always a big fan of Ninja Gaiden series, except the 3rd one. I've never really played the 3rd one. I always actually like Ninja Gaiden the most. I have like really weird taste for favorites, you can say. But I do play a ton of games, I can say. But Ninja Gaiden, I got to put Shenmue up there on the list, which is funny. What else do I like? I love Counter-Strike too. So I'm sure there's more I could think of, but there is a lot of games I do enjoy for sure. You could ask. I do enjoy Final Fantasy series as well. I also love that series. Um, and I used to. The funny thing is, back then I used to be really big into fighting games, and then Mortal Kombat was up there on the list too. I was a big fan of Mortal Kombat, but now I feel like they're a lot different than what they used to be. It's funny, fighting games aren't what they used to be. I miss Dead or Alive though. Dead or Alive was a lot of fun too. That was a great game as well. Um, and oh yeah, Cyberpunk 2077. That's also a great game. I played it when it first came out, ironically, and it was just terrible. And then after like all the updates, I played it like 2 years later because I actually ended up giving a refund from Steam because it was just that bad. And then I purchased it again because everyone was raving about it, so I gave that a shot. And then ended up loving Cyberpunk 2077 as well. So definitely try that game out if you have not. It's an excellent game. I'm excited to play Monster Hunter's Wilds. I want to get a little bit more deeper in it. I've heard great things about it. This is actually my first Monster Hunters game I played, so I can't wait to try that as well. Let me know your favorite games for sure, because I gotta let me know some games that you like, because I definitely want to give them a shot. For racing games also, I'm a big fan of the Need for Speed series as well. I loved Most Wanted. I just hope, and Need for Speed Underground 2 was great. So it says, yes, Mortal Kombat was fun. I didn't have a PC at that time, so it was at the arcade. Yeah. It's funny because I actually started Mortal Kombat at the arcade originally. That's where I first played it. And then I saw friends had it like on at the time it was like Super Nintendo, and then they had it on Sega Genesis, and they also had it on and when they brought Trilogy, Mortal Kombat Trilogy over on 64 and PlayStation. That was an amazing roster, and I think that was the first time I was able to play Mortal Kombat on the PC, because that's when we had like our first PC, and I think I had Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and it was a ton of fun. It was 100% a ton of fun. 64 didn't have as many characters, I remember, as the PlayStation version did. And the funny thing is, that's what made me get it for PC, because everyone who had it for PlayStation at the time, because I didn't have the PlayStation for Mortal Kombat Trilogy first, that's when I ended up getting it on PC. But yes, that was the first. That was actually the introduction for me to really get into PC gaming. Was actually Counter Strike 1.6. The first one I played was CS Pool. Believe it or not, it wasn't Dust 1. It wasn't just regular Dust or Dust 2 or CS Italy. It was CS Pool, which was insane. That was like the modded one where they had like where you could pick up like the shotguns and all the random weapons you could find. But that was a great time for sure. My first PC game was CS. Yep, me too. CS Counter Strike 1.6, Midtown Madness, and Road Rush. Uh, yeah, they're all great titles. And I gotta say, what do you guys think about this whole? Oh, this is hilarious. I gotta show you guys this. They even have a. I just opened this up just to see what they had. And if you look on the manual, they still show an optical drive. I don't know if you guys could see that. But yeah, that's hilarious. They actually got an optical drive in there. I don't know anyone who would put an internal. I don't even think PC cases really you could put any optical drives anymore, unless you get one of the retro PC cases. You certainly can, but they don't really have them as much as they did before, right? Um, but yeah, what do you guys think of this whole Ubisoft matter? The fact how they just stated that nobody. I know other companies say the same thing, but just the fact how they just said it broadly, saying that us gamers do not own the games that we play, and how they're getting in. I forget which game it was, but they're getting sued over it now, and it's not even that old. It came out like 2014 or 2015, but Ubisoft is getting sued for it because, And their excuse is, well, you don't own the game anyway, so you can try to sue us. It doesn't matter because it's not yours, which is insane. And that brings the whole argument, well, if buying the game, if buying the game isn't ours, then pirating isn't technically stealing, right? So it's like they kind of, it's kind of that weird area there, that weird area. But yeah, that I just feel like Ubisoft definitely has it coming to them. They really fell apart. Now the games are good at all graphics levels, content, but the requirement is so high that it is expensive. I agree, Shadow. And that's the problem. A lot of the games now, it's just not optimized well enough. And right here, this is just a how-to to put it together. Like how to put a PC together practically, like a quick guide. But we'll take a closer look. I'm just more curious about if there's any shared lanes between them. More than likely there is. I know most motherboards, when I took a look at them, I believe Gigabyte was one on the list as well. When it comes to sharing the lane, when it comes to PCI Express 5. So if you're worried about that, you certainly can. It will certainly limit you there. Okay, let me see. I'm going to close this up real quick, and then I'm going to put the motherboard up here so we can take a closer look at it. I should have put all the junk back, actually, real quick. That way, it's out of our way. Okay, so again, Gigabyte's very minimalistic when it comes to giving you motherboards. They kind of give you the bare minimum of how to get, like practically to get started. But again, they do build great motherboards, so a lot of their focus is on that. But it's not like other companies where ASUS, they give you a ton of product with it too, which you can always appreciate, and they give you really good quality stuff. When it comes to Gigabyte, they're also excellent. I love them as well. But they're a little bit more limited when they give you things. Wow, they actually taped the SD bag. Okay. All right. Here it is. Come out. Ooh. They got that wrinkled all up top. All right, so I'll bring the camera a little bit closer so everybody could take a better look at this, because you won't really enjoy seeing a motherboard like this. All right, here we go. So you guys can see a bit better once I bring this down some. There we go. I think that's better, right? Let me know if you guys need better lighting. I'll just raise up the lighting or move it a little bit closer, in fact. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll raise up the board here. Let's see. There we go. That is right. I think there's a war going on between graphics card manufacturers and game developers. Certainly seems that way. It certainly does. That or they're in cahoots with each other when it comes to developing, because that way they can get you to play redeveloped games. All right. There we go. Perfect. Now take a look at this right here. You guys can't see it. Oh, restriction with that. I don't know what happened on this live. Let me get off of this. There you go, guys. Just a second. I don't know what happened on the TikTok live anyway. All right, there we go. So take a look at this motherboard here, and let me just zoom it out some. There we go. Perfect. Hey, Ron. Welcome to the stream. So take a look at the motherboard here. It's pretty nice, actually. I like the stainless steel look of it right here. Pretty dope looking. I'll raise it up some. There we go. And you got the, of course, you have the RAM here. It sticks out. You can tell which one is the main ones where you can run. Here, this is where you run the dual speed. You see how they have the metallic brackets there. So that kind of gives you a good indication of where to set the RAM, which is pretty neat of them. And it also secures your RAM, makes it more stable, doesn't make it as floppy, which is nice. It has a decent amount of power phases here. Let me see, it's about 1, 2. The capacitors look excellent as well. And it gives you two USB 3 ports up here on the top of it, USB-C. Now the good thing about Intel, like about Intel boards, the NVMe's, we'll find out. Because right now, there's one right here we know, which is the heatsink. That one's definitely for PCI Express 5 NVMe's. Now, I gotta take this off to really see. Let me see. Okay, so they have a quick connect, if you guys could see that. If you can't, let me know. I'll zoom in a little bit more. But, just open that up right here. And it has that plate. There you go. And if you take a look at that plate, looks like it has one. That's 1, 2, probably 3. No, that's 3 right there. This is also Gen 5. So this is also a great NVMe. Thanks for the love, Garrett. This is also NVMe 5. This is, PCI Express 5, PCI Express 5. This is going to be standard PCI Express 4. So that's 3. Over here, let me see. Not too sure what this is. I would have to look a little bit more. And then we also have another 2 on the bottom here. So we have a total of 5. But remember, even though it has 5 NVMe's, if you occupy them all, they're going to end up splitting power. I guarantee you, looking at this board, that this one down here, even though it's NVMe 5, you don't put anything here, because if you do, it's going to split power with the PCI Express 5 for sure. And I am certain with that. So it's going to split right here. And if it does, then it will, you will only have X8 lane speeds, which wouldn't be good. Shadow says, at the back, you want to take a look at the back of it? Sure. We can take a look at the back of it. But right after we take a look at everything it does provide up here in the front of the motherboard here. Now, it does have, okay, so it has more. Now, don't let this scare you here. This is also for when you plug in your PC to power it on. Some motherboards have this. These are just all extra connections. And that's why now it makes sense why they also have all these, they give you the actual, not the harness, the connector to plug into your case to make it a lot easier. So it definitely has more options when you're able to put this to sleep or put the power off. It has up to 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. I think up to 5 accessory fans that you could put into it. Now one's an AIO if you choose to do water cooling, just say. And then the one over here is going to be, oh wait, yep. And this is also for fan. But again, you can optionally use it as a fan, but the thing is, I'm sure there's a way when you go into the BIOS, you could probably control it there. Now, when you look here, these are the ARGBs, if you want to use the ARGBs for this motherboard. Over here is USB 2.0. Up here is where they actually have, I believe this is going to be the audio. No, the audio is up here actually. And this is where you put your thermal sensing. So they have a thermal sensor right here next to the ARGB. And then over here, there should be another one on the board because they do give you two. Let me see. Somewhere over here, but we'll worry about that later. Now, I do like how they made these ground connections. The ground connections are really nice for the motherboard. They're very solid, actually. I do like it. They soldered it very well. I don't see anything that looks off where it looks like popcorn, as I like to say. Also, it does have, right now I'm just going to try to read this over here so that way I can tell you what it is. This one is to check what the sound phase is. Okay, so it has BIOS, and then here, okay, so it has some jumpers that you can use. This is where the other connection is, by the way, for the temperatures right here. It's kind of hard to see because it's like really small, but it's over here. It's the other connector here is for the thermal sensing. So if you're worried, so you have one here and you also have one here, and you would just move the wires to where you would want to put it to. So can a PSU protect PC components from power surges? It certainly can. If you get like the newer ones, the ATX 3 or ATX 3.1s, they prevent any type of power spiking. Compared to the older ATX power supplies, they power spiked more often compared to the newer ones now. So if you are looking for a way to try to prevent power spiking, I definitely recommend it. Thank you, Taco Man, for coming in and joining and giving a lot of love. Thank you guys for all coming in. Also, if you were curious about the back of this as well, if you were mentioning this, it does have 4 thermals back here. So it does have the thermal pads for it. And it just it doesn't have it on the other ones. Besides Gen 5, of course, because Gen 5 could run really hot if you don't put it on there. Next, you do have, I'm surprised, honestly, I'm surprised. I know this is a higher end board and everything, but the crazy part is I would think that they would also have another USB-C port here. But I guess maybe they put a lot on the back here, which we will check on the IO ports to see what type of features that they do give us. So we'll take a look at that shortly. And it also has the SATA connections. Let me put that away. It's going to be kind of hard to point it probably, but you guys could see that hopefully. It does have SATA ports, it has 4 of them, as USB-C here on the side, so it does have it. And it also has, let me see, yeah, that's it for the side of it. Nothing really crazy. And then they also have, now let's take a look on the back of the plate here. And we put it in an angle so everyone could see this. All right, so now with Intel, they have the 2, I'm assuming these are going to be Thunderbolt 5 here, more than likely. So it's Thunderbolt 5 there, has USB 3.2, of course it has BIOS reset, and it also has the flashback, just in case if you use it. It also has USB 3.1 here, and USB 3.2 is the red, and it does give you of course, the 10 gigabit port if you want to use it for Ethernet. Thanks for the love, Leopard Gecko. And it also has the Wi-Fi connection here for the Quick Connect, and it does have the mic line out, and actually has SPDIF. I know someone was looking for that before. Unfortunately, the B850 did not have it. The B850 motherboard didn't, but this does. Now, the back of the motherboard, interestingly enough, looks just like this. On the back side, you do have this right here, which is, I guess, the armor that's connected to the PCI Express 5 to prevent any type of heating. So it's back on also in the plate. Thank you for all the love, Leopard. And also, it does also have believe the RAM speeds can go up to 7200. It is on this board, 7200 DDR5. And if you take a look closer at the way that this board was manufactured too, you'll see like a lot of the metal casing around everything here. And that's a good thing because that makes everything a lot more stable and secure. So it prevents any type of breakage or anything like that, because they can get loose over time, especially if you're the type of person that also does a lot of overclocking or anything like that. What's up, JW Cruz? Good to see you. Welcome in. We're just taking a look at the we're taking a look at the Z890 right now. Now I know there's not a ton of Intel fans out there, but I was definitely thinking of something for the near future, which I got to share with you guys in a little bit. But I do want to talk about what this board features. Now, it does not only have the metal framing around the ATX header. Let me flip it upside down because you'll get a better view of it. Right down here is where you plug in for the CPU, and they're also metal encased as well, which is pretty amazing, and it's a great design for that. And it does have the VRAM, looks perfect here. So yeah, but other than that, the motherboard looks like a decently overall. It has probably, I can't look at it and tell you what it is, but more or so that a lot of these motherboards have at least like 6 layers of PCB. Thanks for coming in, Shadow. Appreciate you. So also here is the quick release for the PCI Express 5. So if you were to plug in a GPU here, which we could demonstrate, but the monstrous RTX 5090 we have, it would be quite insane to put it in. Also, it's probably requires like such a much larger bracket and everything to put in as well. So, okay. So that's everything about this board. If you have any questions about it, let me know for sure, because I would love to share with you guys. Very easy to put together. Again, to put this plate, it's practically toolless, which is really nice. So you don't have to, it doesn't really require anything extra or any extra screws. So just make sure everything lines up here. All right. There we go. Just gotta make sure it sits right under that latch. If it's not sitting under there, then it won't really catch correctly. So just make sure it goes on there, just like that. There we go. Now it's locked. Perfect. Well, it also, another thing I did notice, it does also have the temperature gauge up here too as well. So if you want to read temperatures, there's also one up here. Of course, you got your fan pumps, your AIOs, and it does have extra ARGBs here. So they give you a ton of ARGB options on this board. Gives you up to 5 practically, which is pretty crazy. Also, you have that BIOS reset up here where you can start up your PC up here. And it does give you the Q code up here with this motherboard as well. There you go. Just trying to make sure to get this angle correctly, and hopefully you guys can see that. So, what do you guys think of this motherboard? Let me know. Would you like Z890's AORUS Master? This is from Gigabyte, and of course, unfortunately, this is a Intel board. I know some people will be pretty disappointed that it is a Intel board because of it, but again, it's a great board. It looks like a great board and wonderfully manufactured. It's just a shame that Intel isn't producing as well as they used to, I gotta say, because Intel has just been rough, especially this generation. But I'm curious how it will compare next to a 9800 X3D or next to even like a 9600, which we had, the 9600X. Just to see what type of performance that we can get out of it. So we could put this back, we could talk a little bit more, and we could soon get to here, which is going to be the AORUS Master, which is the RTX 5090 we have yet to unbox. So let me just pull this camera back real quick. Here we go. Time to back it up. Fix the angle too. All right. Perfect. You guys are just coming in. I'm just showing this motherboard, which was the Gigabyte AORUS Master, the Z890 motherboard. It's a very well put together board. It has up to 5 NVMe's on there, so you definitely could use them all up if you wanted to. Again, it's not suggested to. More than likely, if you use, I believe it would be considered the third lane, it's probably going to split the power between the PCI Express 5, which would make it into X8, which more than likely you probably don't want to do that. If you do use PCI Express 5 SSD, make sure to use it up here, the one with the larger heatsink. Also, it does, more than likely, I think this board is DDR5, goes up to 7200 megahertz, like just the base side. And it also has probably 6 layers of PCBs, I believe, on it. So it's a nice, very thick board on top of it. It also does give you the couple of options here of using, okay, so it does have, it's funny because on the side here, it's actually HDMI when I look closer. So it's HDMI SATA ports. It does have USB 3.2, has one USB-C header on there. I was hoping that they would have at least 2, especially from Intel. Intel's usually pretty good when it comes to that. Also, it has, let me just bring it up so you guys can see it better instead of me just, but it is a very decent motherboard here, and it's going to be very interesting to throw into a build. I know a lot of you guys out there are probably curious about it to see how well this an Intel build will do. And what's more interestingly enough, in the back of it, it does have a backplate for even for the M2 drive, and it does give you, and it's very similar to the LGA 1700. So more than likely, if you have a cooler from LGA 1700, it's probably going to fit on 1851. Because that's, they just throw a little bit of extra pins on there, not a whole lot. Thank you for all the emojis. Love the love out there. And but it's overall a very decent board. They give you pretty decent stuff. And again, this board was, I think, 500 USD. So it is up there in pricing when it comes to a motherboard, because this is their AORUS Master. They do have other ones like they do have the AORUS Extreme, which is even more crazy expensive too. And but overall, it's a decent board. I like it a lot. Preferably, of course, I always like to go Team Red. But let's put this back, and we could discuss a little bit more, and figure out what to do with this giveaway, which I will explain not for this here, but for the SSD. Hopefully, the winners have finally entered the chat. Whew. Throwing it back into its ESD bag, and then we can move on to the RTX 5090. Not everyone gets too excited. So the total price of these two together was $3,500. This was 2,000. I think total was 2,008 or 900, and then this was 500. But if you include taxes, it's more like 3,500. But yeah, it's not bad, right? Considering if you haven't taken a look at take a look at the pricing, especially now, currently, when it comes to the GPU market, it's insane. It's very expensive now to get your hands on a GPU. So if everyone's just coming in and is wondering what this channel is about, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. And if you are into that, make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure, or give it some hearts. Oh, let me flip this around here. Right there. Don't you love wrestling motherboards back into the box? Alright, there we go. We'll put that to the side, not the SSD though. We'll put this to the side for later. Put that over there. Perfect. Now we have the RTX 5090. Also, awesome Extreme Fish. You came to the perfect place. Good to see you. Make sure also to like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you are interested in it. And also for everyone that's just joining in from areas such as TikTok or Twitch, make sure to not forget to follow ahead. I also am possibly doing another giveaway because the prize winner hasn't said anything quite yet. Again, check your emails. I'll check my emails because I'll give them until Tuesday, because I announced the winner on Wednesday, which was someone won the Samsung Pro 990. Oh, perfect. Thank you for subscribing. Which was the 990 Pro right here. And I highly suggest this NVMe. It's definitely one of the best ones you can get out there. And make sure to join the free giveaway. Hopefully the winner claims it. If they do not, unfortunately, I'm going to have to do either a redrawing or doing another giveaway, which will be one of these 990 Pro heatsink NVMe's or 2 pieces of merch. So what is everybody's thoughts of the RTX 5090? I gotta know currently. Is it still interesting to you, or does this make you a little bit worried, especially for the power requirements? I mean, it does require you to have at least 575 watts of power into this not into a PSU, but into this GPU. That's a lot of power going into one place, right? Especially if you have a 1,000-watt GPU, that means more than half is going to that the GPU, which is pretty insane, right? But I've always liked AORUS when it comes to Gigabyte AORUS when it comes to their RTX series, because they never really have issues when it comes to things like coil line. Experiencing them, it seems like it's one of the better ones to go, especially if you want yes, I know, 1,000, yeah, at least 1,000 watts. That's the insane part. I even recommend up to 1,200 if you could. Get a 1,200 watt power supply if you get an RTX 5090, just in case. And make sure to get ATX 3 or ATX 3.1. Yeah, and your electricity, I do agree. And as I tell everybody out there, do not shy away from the RX 5090. I mean, no, RX 9070X. The RX 9070 XT is quite an amazing card. We ran through some benchmarks on it just last week. Just last week, we ran some benchmarks on it. And we also did the build the week before that. So if you had missed that, make sure to check it out on my channel. It's on there. But it's quite an impressive card, and it's way less. But we have the GeForce RTX 5090 for all those who are more interested in the NVIDIA side. More than likely, not everybody's going to use up to 32 gigabytes of VRAM. I don't think anybody out there in their right mind is going to use up that much. Hang on, guys. Just have to connect this up real quick here so I can get everybody together. All right. All right, right There we go. What's up, Eva? What's up, everybody? Oh. That's a lot of... Hang on, guys. This doesn't look right. Hang on, guys. Let me disconnect from them. All right, perfect. All right, now we're good. I think that was some weird TikTok, just like demo thing or something that popped up. But so I just reconnected it just to make sure that it's connected to the correct chat over here. But anyway, what we have here is the RTX 5090. And with the RTX 5090, we can certainly do take a look and see what they offer here. Especially that if you spend so much money on it, if you're willing to spend up to 27 or 2800 on a RTX card, it's definitely one of those ones where you really have to think about it. Really, is it worth the investment? Are you going to use up all 32 gigabytes of VRAM? Are you the type that will be willing to spend on a 1000 to 1200 watt power supply? Now, the minimum I believe it does require is at least without 1000 watts. Now let's open this up just to see how large the card is. I'm just curious because especially the fact that compared to the RTX 4090, which was quite a large card, I just wonder how big the GeForce RTX 5090 is, especially when it comes from AIB. More than likely, I believe this is the card where you can actually add an additional 120 millimeter fan on there. And if you can, then that is also an option that you can take advantage of. You can really put any fan on that you would like. If you prefer like a Noctua fan, you don't prefer anything flashy, that's great. You can certainly put that on there. But let's open this up and see what this card does offer, just to get an idea of how it's looking. Now, let me just move this here. I don't know why it keeps switching over there. Today's developers don't care about optimization anymore. They just rely on DLSS. That is true. That's the unfortunate truth. I feel the same way. I swear I have this crazy theory that Jensen Huang and game developers all got together and they all discussed about how they can really get over on their customers, really. And that's if the new gamers or the new developers, they can bring in, say, an older game and they can just remake it. And that's what they've always done, right? They have always liked to remake games, especially in the current years. So if they remake the game, then it's going to obviously require more power requirements, right? But they don't really want to optimize it. So Jensen and the game developers got together and they all said, Jensen's like, how about you don't optimize your games as much and you just bring out remakes, and so that way we can sell hardware, and hence you have a fair trade between the two. So what do you think about that? You think that's possible? Just a crazy idea that just crossed my mind before. It's always possible because it's good for both of them. They could definitely sell more hardware that way, and it's good for game developers to do that as well, because then they could also cash in. They could cash in a ton of money because then people will just buy the remakes and they're going to need the hardware obviously for it as well. So it's a win situation for the both of them. But that's something, of course, I would never agree on. I don't think any of us would agree on, especially in the direction of games possibly going up to $80 a game, especially because of what PlayStation did. They actually threw a survey out there and asked everybody what their thoughts were of the Nintendo press conference. And a lot of people responded back to PlayStation. I'm sure it was not a very happy response because no one is happy with that. And I agree, Extreme Fish is correct when it comes to Unreal Engine 5 It's something that really pushes your PC. It's very limited to a lot of other GPUs out there, and it's terribly optimized. But there's a lot of games out there that does rely on Unreal Engine 5. I know, unfortunately, Monster Hunter's Wilds, they use Unreal Engine 5. It's not really made for like more of like say an open world like Monster Hunters, but games like that do need to be more optimized. So, you guys ready to see this unboxed? If you are, put 1. If you're not ready yet, you want to go grab some water, you want to grab some coffee, something, let me know, put 2, and we won't open it quite yet. But if you guys are ready to see what is in here, let me know, put 1. If you're not, put 2. I'm going to grab some water while you guys decide on your options here. Okay. Extreme says 1. Extreme says 1. What else do we? Who else we? Okay, Extreme keeps saying 1. Anybody else gonna decide? Do you want to see 1 for? Yes. Yeah, there is going to be a bit of delay. It's a yeah, it's not like a straight stream. It's unfortunately there's a little delay when it comes to the chat. Are you guys ready for it? That's why I figured it would be good to take a little time on this vote. See what everybody decides. You ready to see what's in here? So we got Rebulski. Okay. That is odd. That one's hey. That's weird. Hey, well guys. Apologize again. I wonder why that's not connected. Hang on. All right. Maybe that did it. Apologize for everybody there. All right. So hopefully that does it. Yeah, for some reason on the chat that wasn't like linked up correctly. It seemed like I was trying to get Extreme Fish. There we go. That's better. Do you play Geometry Dash? I never played that. No, I have not played Geometry Dash. How is that? I'm just curious how that game is. Is that? I'm assuming it's on Steam as well. That's a game that I gotta play. So let's open this up anyway, since we want to see what's in here. See what the RTX 5090 AORUS has. There we go. Gotta go, bye. All right, Extreme Fish, good to talk to you. So now, here is the AORUS Master. Comes in a pretty exclusive box. Who doesn't like seeing this AORUS sign up here? All right, so let's open this up and see what they have. Ooh. There we go. So they give you a little manual. Of course, they always give you the manuals. I don't think there's anything else in here. Yeah, stickers. The warranty. Yeah, different stickers just to show you. And they also have, oh, about how you can add the extra fan, as I was mentioning earlier, the extra 120 millimeter fan. It looks like there's a bracket for it. Let me just push that up a little further. Yeah, there's a little bracket for there that you would add on, and then you can put your fan. And also, just, you know, just instructions, boring stuff. I don't think you guys really want to see that. Okay, so let's open that up. Oh, so it does come with the extra fan. I did not know that. Do you see it? Take a look at that. Let me know what you think of that. There we go. Hopefully the mic isn't sounding too crazy, but here it is. It does come with the extra fan if you choose to throw it on. Or you can put your own. I would think you could. You could probably put your own by taking off the bracket. And you probably could put like a Noctua one on there if you want. Let's just open that up real quick. It has like a rubber mount so to prevent vibrations. That's what that's for. So that way it doesn't vibrate on the card and be noisy. And let me see. Yep. And it looks like this would practically fit on other ones, but this is kind of specific. So I would have to put it on another fan to see if it would work out of curiosity. And it has ARGB connections here. I don't know why it has so many of them. And it also has the fan headers. Has up to one. Yep, it has the fan headers. And it does have the ARGB. It has two of them. Which is more than likely to probably daisy chain them. And we'll put that away real quick. And then we can get to the better and bigger stuff here. That's pretty cool that you can do that. You can put an extra fan on there if you'd like. Probably not really necessary, but it's not really the card that's getting hot. I'd be more worried about that wire, to be honest. I'd be more worried about I'd be more worried about 575 watts of power really running through the card, to be honest, more than anything. And also, they give you the 4 harness, 4 PCI Express ports if you choose to use a standard ATX power supply. If you do, you can plug up to 4, which is pretty insane. I would not suggest that. That's a lot. It's pretty crazy because when you think about this, this is a lot of power going into this little thing here, which is the 12-volt high power port, or you'd like to call it the 12X2 X6 port, whichever you would like to call it. And has the AORUS emblem on here. Gives you, what's this? Oh, and if you want to be able to turn it, oh, that's pretty nice. It's like if you want to be able to plug it in a certain direction, you can. They give you this little piece here, or maybe this is part of a bracket, but we'll find out soon. I don't think that's to plug it in. It doesn't look like it. And screws and brackets. So when you install these brackets, usually the way Gigabyte does it, they give you 2 straight brackets practically, looks like. So it's going to be on the side of the card, of course. And more than likely one of them is the slide, probably for length, I'm assuming. But we'll mess with that later. We'll take this off and we can open up the card, see how it looks. There we go. Now time to get to the masterpiece. I know everybody is more curious about this piece here, which is the RTX 5090. It is massive, I gotta say. It's really massive. Ooh, it's heavy. It is actually pretty heavy. God, that is heavy. Take a look at that. Pretty insane, right? Damn, imagine adding another fan on this. That's going to get really heavy. I want to close this up so we can take a better look at the card. That is insanely heavy. I thought the 4090 was big, but this looks actually bigger for some reason. And the funny thing is, Blackwell was supposed to be smaller. But maybe because the way they designed it. So we got to take off the caution tape. Once you rip this off, that's the end of it. Yeah, no kidding, Dave. It is like a loaf of bread. Good to see you, Dave. Man, this is heavy. Woo! I feel like I'm working out. Now, if anybody says I go to the gym, I say, no, I just lift 50-90s. Yeah, it's a lot to hold with one hand, I gotta say. If it would have been nice to pull out the 4090 just to show the comparison size. This is really big. Look how thick it is. That's how thick the card is. And here's a back plate for it. And I guess you put the fan right, have to be here. I think it would have to be here. If you want to throw on the extra fan, which would be this. And then if you throw this on there, that's like an extra, like, that's a bit crazy. Yeah, it's really thick. Super thick. And let me sit this up here. And there it is. It's so heavy. If you could see close enough, if you look at the box, it's actually bending in. Once the yeah, that's what I mean. If you put the 4 fan on there, geez, that's quite heavy. It's heavy as it is. It's got to weigh at least, if I'm lifting it, that's got to be a good, like, 8 pounds at least. It's like 8 to 10 pounds. It's actually pretty heavy. Like, if you could really work out just like with the RTX 5090. And the funny thing is, it's just, the way they designed the RTX 5090 and the Founders Edition, it was created to be much more smaller. It's literally, yeah, the car and it's just like a shoebox. It really is. And it was originally supposed to be a lot lighter. It's supposed to be more improved in that sense. But again, somehow these AIBs just make them thicker. And gosh, it is humongous. But look how massive the heat dissipation is on that. Now, one of the fins looks like it got something in there, like a piece of foam for some reason. But yeah, one of the fins look kind of bent here. That should be straightened out, actually. Yeah, I'll straighten that out later. But again, this is a $2,800 GPU, and that there's a bent fin on it, which is insane. Now, the cooling wise, the crazy part is, I'm just impressed of how massive this GPU is, right? But the design wise, I just feel like it's just overly too big. This is just insane. Now, if you're wondering about the I/O ports back here, it has, let's see, 3 display ports, 1 HDMI. I'll definitely go more in depth about it. They even have these, like, I wonder how, I'm just curious when you put this on here. Let me see. If you put this extra fan on here, right? It's gaskets on both sides. It's like this rubber mount for a gasket on both sides. And it just screws in right. Would have to be, you probably have to remove one of them, I bet. And it looks like it goes just like this, I think. That's how thick it would really be. If you were to compare the thickness, yes, Unreal Champion. Welcome back. The fan did come with it. I was surprised myself. But it sits like that. So that's how thick the card actually is. Pretty insane, right? I remember you had the 5092, right, Unreal? Which 5090 did you have? Is it like this thick, it's pretty insane. Like how thick this card is, right? Yeah. It's like you definitely got to put a bracket. Do not install this without a bracket because if you do, it's definitely going to get messed up. Yes. It's insane how massive these cards are. Even when I put it on its side just to try to display it, it's actually denting the box. That's how heavy it is. It's actually denting it. I'd rather put the piece of foam on there just to make sure it has a better stability so I can show everybody out there. But it's a decent card. 12 volt, it has one single, it's just crazy to think everything is getting powered through this, right? The 12 volt high power port or the 12.2 X6, as you like to say. It's amazing all that power is getting pushed through there because now it's just like, it's kind of scary because I'm honestly scared to put it in a PC build because that's definitely a lot of power going through it. Mine is vertically mounted. I will post it. Yeah, post it. I would love to see it. So for everyone who doesn't know, I do have a Discord channel. Make sure to join it. Show off your PC builds. Would love to see them. And you're free to show off your PC builds, the before and afters, your companions, your pet companions, and feel free to share everything that you would like because we all love to talk about PC and tech in there. It's a newly created Discord. I just opened it like back in, I think, late December. But it's slowly and steadily growing, which I'm very happy about. And hopefully we can get the chat going. This GPU is going to be quite interesting to put in, especially for how much power that is going through it. I'll be right back, guys. Let me just get some water. Quick break. My oh my. What do you guys think about this card? I gotta know. Alright, perfect. Thanks, Unreal. I'm definitely excited to see how this is going to perform, though, for sure. I'm just gonna put something in real quick. And I'll definitely feature it on there. You know, that's something I have to discuss with you guys too, which I'm thinking of a great idea here. I heard this suggestion from a lot of people out there too. Okay, so what I wanted to discuss too was the fact that when it comes to the Discord chat, I'm thinking of also doing a feature to where we can talk with featuring somebody one-on-one. What doesn't matter whether you're a viewer or a creator. What we could do is we could do like kind of like a Discord chat and share it with the stream. I think that would be pretty cool. It would be awesome to see it. I definitely want to show off Unreal's Champions PC hardware. For example, I'll show you what he posted up on the chat here. Let me just have to go up here so I can share it with you guys. And I bet it's amazing. Which is right here. Right there. Well, that's everything that the features with the RTX 5090. 21,760 CUDA cores. now I just got it strictly on. There we go. So on Tech Power Up, here are the full specifications of it if you're curious about it. Pretty amazing, right? But let's go further down here. And now you can see the boost clock, there's a little difference in it. It's about 10% more for the 4GB version of it. The memory clock is up to 1750. And here are the dimensions. Just to give you an idea, it's really heavy. I'm curious about the weight here on this. I don't see the weight. I should put it on the scale, right? But the problem is it's a lot bigger than the scale here. Now, let me see if I can bring up the here. I want to show it. Okay, let me just go back here. I'll figure it out later. But the specs look pretty good. I'm surprised it doesn't mention the weight here. Again, it mentions, it says that you need at least a 950 watt GPU. I mean PSU. So you might as well go 1000 for the minimally suggested. I always prefer upping the ante, like when it comes to something like that, at least go 11 or 1200. And but yeah, for certain, this is heavy. I'm about to put it on the scale just to get an idea of how big it is or how heavy it is. Let me grab my scale real quick. I don't know if I can weigh it, but it's not going to. Hey, what's up, Ron? What's up, Ren? Oh. All right, so we got the scale here. Let's see if we can somehow get it to weigh properly. I'm going to take this off here. I don't know how it's going to balance, to be honest. Okay, so I got the scale. This is going to be funny how this turns out, right? All right. It is about 6 pounds. That's how much it weighs. I was able to weigh it, so it's very close to 6 pounds. It's like 5.99 something. I didn't see the last number, but it's close to 6 pounds. That's how much this thing weighs. So if you add the fan on there, you can imagine just how heavy it is. Let me get this chat back up real quick. Yes, Ren, possibly another PC build very soon. But what we'll do is we'll probably run a test on the card first before anything. Also, Unreal Champion says my guess is 8 pounds. That's what I thought mine was. That's what I feel like too. I feel like it's more like 8 pounds. Do you think the box gives the right weight? Yeah, see, the thing is, I know my scale is pretty good, but maybe on the box it kind of cushioned it. Maybe I should have put it on something like a harder surface for sure. If I put it onto a harder surface, maybe it would do a little bit better, I think. Maybe if I do put it on the harder surface, let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm just about to do. I agree with you. All right, so I'm going to put this on here. Okay. Make sure everything is lined up here. Let's see. You ready? how much this weighs. I got 5.944. That's what I got. 5.944. And Rand says, what motherboard are you going to use for the 5090? Well, I'm thinking of two. I might be putting in. This will be interesting. The X870 ASUS Crosshair Hero. I'm going to put it in there. And I'm also probably going to put it into the motherboard I just showed, which is the Z890 AORUS Master. I'll also put it in there as well. Yeah, that's much more lighter than I thought, to be honest. But once you put the fan on there, it's got to add some weight to it. Because they give you the fan with it, which is pretty insane. So if we put the fan on there, maybe I'm sure it'll add some weight. Let's do that. I'm going to put, oh wait. Let me take this off real quick. I'm going to reweigh it with the fan. Okay. Put that on there. Good. And put the fan on there. Just for some giggles. Vertical, I would love to put it more on the horizontal side. Or you know what? It's funny because I'm curious about the risers. Because I know Leon Lee is one of the only ones that really has the PCI Express riser. Okay, so once I put the fan on there, it is at 5.110. Yep. That's we broke the 5-pound mark there. But yeah, you gotta send me the riser that you got, Unreal. They'll let me know because from what I know, it will get some performance loss if it's on a PCI Express 4 riser. And I'm also curious about if this GPU does have all its. Yours is 4.0. Oh. Can you overclock on that motherboard? Yes, you can overclock on both motherboards, on both the AORUS Master and on the Crosshair X870E. They're both great motherboards. Now, if you're on the AM5 side, I highly recommend taking a look at ASUS's Crosshair. I highly recommend taking a look at ASUS's Crosshair Hero, the X870E. They just redid the Q release too. If you've heard about it, where people were having issues when it was coming to Q releases. Excuse me for a minute. I had to solve this problem. All right, but yeah, they were having issues where they were getting stuck, and if it was able to be pulled off, that's why I want to put it in the X870E because I haven't pulled mine out yet, and I want to see if I also run into the same problem. But I will be running some benchmarks first on the RTX 4090, and then I will be comparing it to the RTX 5090. They're both similar because they're both one force, and they're both AORUS cards. So I want to see how much of a difference it is between the two, especially for the pricing, the price gap between them. Now, Unreal says his is a riser 4.0. I think it's fine. Can you and he says Cooler Master's vertical mount with. Okay, so that's the one you use because I've heard when it comes to the risers that you could get some power loss out of it, but that's something I got to personally test myself to see if that is true or not. Which is something I'm willing to try out for sure, just to get an idea of what to dispel the myths and what the truths are about the RTX 5090. But I can certainly say it is a lot of power going through it. I mean, through this little thing here, it does require 4 PCI Express ports if you don't have ATX 3 or ATX 3.1 power supply. So definitely make sure to have the right power supply, especially if you want to prevent any power spiking, which was asked earlier, which is a great question because if you're worried about a power spike happening, that's where problems could come in, such as a melting port or higher resistance will typically cause those type of issues. Now, let me turn that off real quick. and then I could put it back on display. There we go. So officially, it weighs very, very close to 5 pounds. God damn, yes, it's super big stick, man. It is 5 pounds. It was insane because just lifting it, it has quite a bit of weight. And I was saying that you could literally say if you don't go to the gym, just lift RTX 5090s because you definitely could do like shoulder raises with it. It has that much weight to it. It's pretty insane. And especially you're thinking that you have all that weight, you have all 5 pounds here, right? You have all that weight going on this PCI Express 5 port. I mean, this bus right here. So can you imagine? Yes, you got screws holding it up, but again, if they weren't in there, like say you disassembled the screws, you took out the screws that held it into the case, you got all that weight on these gold fingers on the bottom here. That's on the motherboard, and obviously not all the weight's going to be here. It's all going to be everywhere else but there. So it's all that weight's holding on that thin piece right there if you take out the screws. So that's a bit scary. So if you do plan to take out a take out a RTX 5090 card or install one, just make sure it's supported before you actually let go of it, because the last thing you need is some damage happening. Because even though like it might not be damaged, you might not actually see physical damage, but what can happen is there could be like a stress fracture in there. You might not even know it. You just installed it and it works perfectly fine. You could play it for maybe a couple of years even, but then later when you actually have to like service the card or something, then you'll actually notice some sort of stress fracture in there, and you want to prevent that. So just make sure to support the card with something. There's got to be like the vertical mounts that usually come with motherboards, like when it comes with the GPUs, I would put that onto there just to support it just in case. Red says, I have my first mid-high-end PC build for less than the price of the 5090. That's the thing. The crazy part is you could choose this, right? Which I'm about to show you here. You could choose a RTX 5090. Great card to have, right? Have plenty of VRAM. You got up to 32 gigabytes of G7, and it is up to 28 gigabytes to actually go through. Blah blah. Now I got my words all mixed up. You got 32 gigabytes of 28. Forgive me, I apologize, but it's very fast. It's 28 gigabytes of. Now it's slipping to me. That's how long I've been streaming. But let me just show you an example real quick. My point is, if you look here, right? You have this card. And then you either spend $2,700 on this, and you don't have a PC yet, but you want to go all out. You want to get an RTX 5090. It's great and all, and you definitely could do it. You could definitely get a 5090, but then you compare it to something like this. Get a whole PC here for the price of a RTX 5090. Actually, this was even less. This was fully, it was like $1,800 to build, which is still $1,000 cheaper less than the RTX 5090, which is pretty insane to think about, right? So you can either have a full PC build here, or you can choose this, especially if you're just trying to build the PC in the first place. If you're just upgrading, different story. You could choose to go RTX 5090. Definitely understandable why you would choose that. But of course, gaming wise, you you wouldn't need all the VRAM really, but maybe in the future you would, because thanks to these game developers that don't know how to optimize anymore, that's certainly possible. You could definitely use up to 32 gigabytes in the future. But yeah, it is crazy, right? You either build a PC or you get a 5090, and again, you spend $1,000 more for that, which is pretty insane, right? And then the board that I was thinking of putting it together with was the Z890. Some of you guys are probably saying, "Ew, a Z890." Hey, I'm with you. It's just, you know, this is a PC channel, so we got to touch on other subjects that we don't even like. Again, of course, I'm completely unbiased when it comes to this kind of stuff. So whatever is the best performance and whatever is the best in price and what is the best for consumers, this is the side I would choose to go with. And personally, to me, this year has to be Team Red, because it just doesn't make sense. You're going to spend a ton of money on this, and then just add the hardware all together, you're going to be spending a lot more money. So, but what we are building it with is this here, the Gigabyte AORUS Z890. This is the board here. Well, you guys can see that. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing, legends. I appreciate it. Does the RTX ASUS 3080 Ti fastest 4090? Is it does the RTX ASUS 3080 Ti fastest the 4090? So the RTX, are you asking if the RTX ASUS 3080 Ti is faster than the 4090? If you are asking if it is faster, not 3080 Ti, it won't be faster than 4090. I actually benched them two together. I benched them a while ago. I remember it had to be at least a couple years ago when I did this type of bench. But Rock Legends, I can say that the 3080 Ti is certainly slower than the 4090 for sure. This is the board that we will be going with, that we will probably put it together with. Or there's a couple ideas that I do have now, but I have to really kind of think over the options, and then I will definitely publicly reveal them. Or I'll probably exclusively talk about it in Discord with everybody over there. If you haven't joined the Discord channel, please do. It would be awesome to see more of you guys there. They just have like the bare minimum ESD bag. And it's not even like a very good ESD bag. It's like the paper thin. It's crazy thing. Oh man. Just doesn't want to go in there. Is the fan quality better than that of other RTX cards, or is it the same? Now, I can say for Gigabytes, they are definitely very good when it comes to their fans. If you compare it to a lot of other ones, they are certainly one of the better ones when it comes to their fan quality. The next one I would say, like if you were looking for the best fans, I definitely recommend like Noctua ones. They do have the ones that, they haven't done it with the 5090 series, but they have done it with the 40 and the 30 series, where they combine together, like with Noctua, way more silent, and they have a lot of airflow. And highly recommended fans are Noctua fans. And for those especially that don't really like RGBs as much. And another idea that I was thinking, and let me know what you guys think of it too, is that we could go with a stealth build too, like without any RGBs at all. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who loved RGBs at first, and now they're not liking it as much anymore because they realize it's like a disturbance to when they sleep. But I can certainly understand that idea, especially if you have a PC in your bedroom, then it can get pretty annoying. So I can understand that. But let me know, put your vote on it. Let me know in Discord. Definitely gonna have some options to weigh here. And there's definitely going to be a lot more coming to the channel for sure. There's a lot of activity. Let's see. For the price of this card, you can crossfire two 9070 XTs and have some leftover change. Exactly, that's the thing. It's the crazy part is, even though this card is expensive and everything, now everything else has become more expensive. If you just do yourself a favor, actually, you know what? I'll share with you guys. I'll go to Newegg just to give you an idea of like what's going on currently with the market, especially when it comes to GPUs. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I know you guys probably haven't got to see it yet, but let me just show you real quick. Funny thing is, now I don't know where to put my mouse at. There we go. Actually, I could probably do it. Oh wait, I have to go up there, guys. Let me just show you. Just give me a moment. Go to Newegg here. All right. So we're gonna go onto Newegg real quick. You guys see it? Hang on. I see. So let me just try to position it right for the guys in the vertical side, because I know it's probably kind of weird to see. Let me see if I can move it around some. And right there. Move it right up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to type the RX 9070 XT. Right? And take a look at that. Isn't that crazy? Let me move this here too. Right there. Perfect. You guys can see it. Right there. Take a look at that. It's a bit insane, right? The pricing now, when it comes to it. So unfortunately, it seems that the pricing has gone up a lot when it comes to GPUs. It's a bit insane. It's like now for a RX 9070 XT, it's close to $1,000. The same with the RTX 5070s. They're reaching $900 to $950 for a graphics card. So that's what I mean. So more than likely, the crazy part is, I have to say is, if you are in the market and trying to get a new graphics card, feel free to really be patient, because the thing is, it's not worth getting a graphics card now, especially the pricing. It's good that you got a Micro Center close to you. Hopefully they keep the pricing fair. I'm curious about how the Micro Center will be, especially when I plan to make a trip sometime soon. And I'm curious to see how their stock is looking, see if there's any price adjustments since then. I heard that, yeah, there should be more mid-April. That's why I've been like saying there should be in with a couple of weeks. So hopefully the market will kind of correct itself by then. It's a good thing everything is sold out, because the pricing is just a bit insane on it. So at the time when I got this, luckily I got this like a week ago. And when I did, this was about $2,700 or $2,800, and now I bet if you look at it, it's going to be well over $3,000. It's probably going to be like, well, maybe not well over, more like a little, like probably like 3,000 or maybe 2,900, I would say. But it's hard to say exactly, but I would have to look it up again. But the point is, it's just not worth the price of paying for a graphics card, especially for those type of prices. And I feel bad for everybody who does want to get a graphics card and who just wants to improve their performance overall. Now it seems like it's just gonna have to wait a little bit longer. And I gotta say, 2025 was a really rough year for everybody when it comes to gaming, especially when it comes to PCs. It just has been terrible, especially of how exciting it seemed like originally 2025 began. It seems like it's just like going on just terribly. Like it seems like there's some type of bad news that's constantly going on. But I am hoping for the best, and things will eventually improve as always, because we kind of went through something like this when it came to the 30 series. 40 series wasn't as bad, but when it came to the 50 series and everything else that came with the 50 series, like the RX 9070 XTs and the new generation of processors from AMD with the 9950 X3D, which is pretty dope. All that stuff is probably going to have to take a hit, unfortunately. But the AORUS RTX 5090, RTX 5090 seems like a great card to have. I'm actually honestly surprised they actually came with a fan that came with it. That's also very generous of Gigabyte to actually do that. Typically, they kind of give you the bare minimum and say, hey, if you want our extra fan that comes with it, you're going to have to pay another 20 to 30 bucks, which is something typically Gigabyte would say. Just like their motherboards when it came to the X670Es, they would say if you want USB 4, you have to get our expansion card, which was like 90 bucks at the time, which is kind of ridiculous. But it's a shame the way how everything is going, and hopefully everything improves upcoming. I'm hoping by May and June everything should normalize. And the funny thing is, that's almost been like a statement that everybody has made since the beginning, that May is more of the month where everything should look better. But now it's already April. It still seems a bit crazy and a bit scary, especially for how the pricing is. And hopefully, again, things will definitely get better. But I thank everybody who was here on the stream. I will certainly keep everyone up to date, have a lot more incoming. I hope you, if you like this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe or follow. And also make sure you tune into my Discord channel. If you're looking for my Discord channel, it is posted on my YouTube description link, and you are free to join. And also, please feel free to show off your builds. Would love to see them. I thank everybody again who was here since the beginning. So Sickman GT says, sorry to ask you, but what's your main computer for gaming, like your personal PC? So that's a good question to ask. So I'll answer this one. The main PC that I use, it is a 9800X 3D, and I also have a RTX 4090 on it, and I do have 48 gigabytes of VRAM. Actually, I actually just did this build in 2024, and if you take a look on my videos, you'll actually see it. But the last build that I did on 2024 is the is the PC that I use for gaming. But I'm happy to answer your question, Stickman. Thank you, Ren. I thank everybody again for joining. Thank you so much for being part of the channel and being part of the wonderful fan bam. I love all you guys out there. Thanks again for watching. Take care. And I gotta say, hopefully everybody has a great day out there, because again, stay away from the graphics cards for now because the pricing is just a bit insane. But again, thanks for everyone joining. There we go. I was hitting the wrong stuff. But thanks again, and I love all you guys.